You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
This is Zoom the TBT with our live Bracketology for 2024. My partner tonight, Charge. How you doing, man?
No, I'm doing great. Excited for this year's Bracketology. Much easier than sorting through 100 plus teams and kind of making all these wild predictions. So we usually do pretty well with it, but having it narrowed down to 63 teams when we should have 64 was nice work.
Yeah. This will be a little bit of a different thing than we usually do, where we actually have much more of we know most of the teams now, because the reality is, the teams are being accepted beforehand. So before we get into the bracket real quick, let's go ahead and just really quick do the region. So obviously we've got these regions again, that massive cluster in the Midwest, the 5 within 3 hours drive. My plan is to combine Louisville, Lexington, and Butler. Charge, I believe you're trying to do Butler and possibly Louisville. Is that kind of your plan, I think?
Yeah, it's still up in the air as far as timing, but I'll definitely be at Butler. But I wouldn't mind getting down to Lexington too. So I just got to see how the schedules work out. And yeah, between Butler and one of those two down south.
We'll see what happens. The Lexington Butler thing on that Sunday might be interesting, but we'll get there as we go through this. Let's talk a little bit about how it works out. Now, these aren't the official. We're not sure who plays what, but based on logic, this is what we think the sister regions will be: Wichita, Houston, Pittsburgh, Butler, Lexington, Louisville, Dayton, Cincy. With the regionals, the 8 regions going through a 6-day festival, treating it very much like March Madness and NCAA level, with you having basically 6 days of basketball over a long weekend, and then the quarterfinals over 2 days, 7:29, 7:30, and then the semifinals and finals in Philadelphia, which I plan to personally be. Charged. We have to get to Philadelphia at some point. And again, new TV partner. Again, we're going to be dealing with Fox this year, which definitely means the positive is the OTA games. We're going to have some games over the air, but at the same time, we're also going to now have less of a streaming presence. So that's going to be a bit of a difference for this season. With that in mind, Charge, let's just get into the brackets because we want to make this fun and quick. And we're going to start in Wichita and get right into this. So number 1, Aftershocks, we would project as your number 1 seed. And number 8, the minor league Midtown Prestige. And then, of course, we can also get into the Purple Rain, Team Colorado, 4 and 5. That would be the K-State alumni of Purple Rain at 4, Team Colorado at 5. Perennial contender and dominant team Florida TNT squeezing as a 3 seed here. And the LA Cheaters, Charge, it looks like Casper isn't playing, which is interesting. The Drew League legends of the Cheaters. And then we're going to finish this up with the Mass Street, a late arriving K-State alumni as your 2 seed. And ram up the Colorado State alumni as your 7th seed. So first of all, Charge, there's a lot of competition this year to see who's going to have the attendance record this year, which does a perennial contender. Does this bracket lend itself to getting 8,000 to 9,000 of the seats again?
Yeah, I think this bracket is, the powerhouse when you start to look through the names there. Obviously, the Aftershocks and Mass Street are kind of the big pool, but Purple Rain, Colorado is going to be great, Colorado State. So there's just a lot to like here, and I think Aftershocks is that number 1 seed for a reason. They're scrapping, they simply win. I called these guys out many years ago. When you look at them on paper, you're like, I just don't know if they can do it. But they're one of 3 teams in the TBT this year to have over a 70% career winning percentage, along with the program for autism and Bleed Green right now. So these guys, I don't doubt anymore. They go deep every year, and they should be a lock for the 1 seed here. In Wichita and Midtown Prestige, we'll just wish them the best of luck and see how it shakes out.
Definitely. Okay, so Charge, real quick, is there a team you think is the definite favorite out of this region?
There's a couple teams that, probably 2 or 3 teams that are intriguing. Mass Street is obviously the one that sticks out. They're even stronger than last year when you add Mason and Newman to the squad. So that's just a big-time team that, can beat everyone. Roster dependent. Last year, this was probably one of the more fluid teams as well. It was every time they'd add a player, they'd remove them the next day. It was just kind of crazy and hectic. Florida TNT, there's never a doubt about those guys when you return guys like Clanton and Boynton, and they're going to be solid and a lot of fun to watch. And then the team Colorado is one of my ones that I think Colorado, has some great success in past TBTs. I think this could be the sleeper of the region. They're bringing in Roberson, they're bringing in George King, they're bringing in Josh Adams. It's just going to be a really solid team. And Purple Rain, I think they get to 4 because some of their past history and geography and location there in Kansas. But I think there's a couple teams I like a little better than that, especially Colorado State. I think they got a solid team, and DJ Cooper's just a major upgrade to their squad. So, but that's kind of how I see it playing out here, and it's going to be a fun region. It's going to be a competitive region, one of the more competitive regions out of the 8, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we interviewed already Team Colorado. We had them on the show earlier, and I was really impressed with how they're going about it. And as TBT becomes much more of a established business model, much more of a true destination event in the summer, the way they're going about their camp, their planning, how they're planning on playing together, having a dominant number of players in their team actually be Colorado alumni and buffs, training at altitude. I think they're really a sleeper team to go deep in this. The Shocks are always dangerous. TNT is always dangerous. Mass Street is loaded. I think this is, if not the best region, definitely one of the regions you have to watch for as being a true contender. Charge, pick a team. What do you think? If this is how it plays out, well, actually, before I pick a team, do you have a favorite first round matchup out of these?
Favorite first round matchup. I think that Mass Street Colorado State game is going to be very competitive. I think Mass Street's going to end up pulling it off, but I'm really intrigued by Colorado State this year. So that's not a typical 2-7 matchup, and that one's probably going to be my favorite matchup to watch. But my gut is just telling me Colorado has something this year. So I think they fly it in a little under the radar, let Aftershocks, Mass Street, Purple Rain, TNT kind of get a lot of the polish. But I think Colorado's got enough to come out of the Wichita region.
I was going to go with that too. I think the 4 or 5 game is definitely my favorite one of those that plays out this way. One thing you're also going to see in these brackets is we can start to go into them. And again, these are projections. The formal brackets will be released on Wednesday, the 26th, no, 27th, 26th, whatever. I'm bad with dates. It's coming up. Fanta and Zoltan will be doing the announcements. It'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait. But one thing we'll see of our projections, we do try to protect TBT's gate a bit, because honestly, we want to make sure that they get their gate money. So you'll see a lot of times that the teams that are hosting and the regional sort of fellow hosts will have paths where they can basically try to have a path easier. I think it's no secret that protecting people's pocketbooks is pretty important in this. Okay, let's keep it moving. Going to Houston.
That's with the non-alumni too. So just like that TNT Cheaters game, that's a matchup that just has to happen.
Absolutely. Okay, so last year's deep run, the Bleed Green, who we just taped recently with, we'll have them debuting their show next week. Coming back, trying to get one more game, make that $1 million win one more game against the LA Ignite as the 8 seed. The Enchantment, the New Mexico Lobo alumni, as a 4, with Austin's own as a 5 seed. I believe Jordan Hamilton may have been off that roster now, which could do something. You got the 3 seed, the program for autism, a former finalist against another team that makes deep runs all the time, Challenge ALS, Sean Marshall's crew, coming back for blood. And then, of course, you've got finally your host, Forever Cougs, the Houston alumni, led by Rob Gray, who had a great run last year with Heard That against Once a Bronco, the Boise State alum. So, Charge, what are we thinking about here? Obviously, Bleed Green's got to be the favorite to do the run last year, but this might be, much like Wichita, a truly strong region. Who is the biggest challenger to Bleed Green in this region?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think you have to go with Forever Cougs as the biggest challenger. Rob Gray's got a lot of experience with the TBT. Shown, whatever, with Heard That last year. Not very good at the English tonight. But he's a great piece to start with, and they just got a great alumni team. So I don't think you can discount them. And then the program for autism has just been phenomenal in recent years. They're retooling, getting a refreshed squad back out there. So I think they make another deep run. So I think it's going to be one of those two. Just a couple notes. I don't know if anyone could stop Jefferson and Stevens on Bleed Green. Those guys have just been insane lately. So Ignite does have an NBAer in Ty Lawson, so that may help them a little bit. Enchantment, they're just looking for a late run. They performed really well in the TBT, and then Austin Zone. If I'm being honest, I like Once a Bronco a little bit better. I just like the TBT matchup of Enchantment of Austin Zone going against each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't flip, but I think fans would rather see the local teams down there battle it out. And the other interesting thing to me is Collison really going to play for ALS? And Sean Marshall this year is listed as a player, not as a coach. So kind of going back to their roots a little bit when they were going deep into TBT. So they got a lot of roster left to round out. And as you mentioned, Jordan Hamilton did leave Austin Zone, so that kind of leaves things up in the air there. So they got a little more roster rebuilding to do. But so I think if someone was to challenge Bleed Green, you're looking at the Cougs or Program for Autism if one of those guys step up.
But again, we're also talking about a very deep region here. Like a lot of teams here, because like Bleed Green, Cougs, Autism, all definitely contenders to get out of Houston. Enchantment, Austin Zone, Once a Bronco. This goes 7 deep easily. I'm not sure what the Ignite have. I'm not familiar with them, and then we have them as the 8. I think they'll definitely try to put a run on Bleed Green, but like I think this is contenders 3 deep, dangerous teams up to 7 deep. This is a fairly deep region. Charge, like, do you think Bleed Green's gonna get out of this region? Or do you think it's just because of the high variance, like maybe the luck was, I mean, they're 7-2 in the first year, so it's a really good squad, but like eventually the luck doesn't run out. Like, are they a little too small, or are they just get got just because of bad luck? Like, is this a cakewalk, or does someone get them?
Nah, I mean, there's no such thing as a cakewalk, but I mean, just like we've seen in TBT, it's theirs to lose. And, when you got Jefferson and Jordan, and they got Shannon Shorter back this year, so adding a little more depth, they're going to be a tough out. I think what happens with the Cougs if they show up with a big fan base and really get some momentum going, they could be hard to beat. But I really do like Bleed Green coming out of here.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good squad.
They're going to make a run for the whole thing.
They're a really good squad. This will be a really fun region. And by the way, the reason we started with these 2 is they're the more isolated regions. The other 6 are within very close, 5 of those within 3 hours. So really, the depth of these regions also has a lot to do with the fact that they drew from a very limited amount of places. Like, for example, we have multiple Ohio, Kentucky regions. We have 5 that are very close to each other. So Houston and Wichita are geographic outliers, allowing them to draw the strongest teams from those regions as opposed to spreading them. So I think it's no secret, the further away you are from the easy commutes, the deeper the region gets, honestly. Okay. Speaking of that, let's get to Pittsburgh. This will be a lot of fun. The Zoo Crew will be hosting. But we do not project them as the 1 seed. We project the new team, the Stars of Stores, the UConn alums, to be the 1 seed. I think it's a fairly easy pick. They're going to be loaded against the Herkimer Originals, an ABA team. I don't even know where New York Herkimer is. My partners from Syracuse says it's somewhere near, I think, Ithaca. I have no idea where these people are, so someone can feel free to educate me. You're a New York guy. Maybe you can tell me. As the 4-5, we would have the Happy Valley Hoopers, the Penn State alumni, against the Brotherly Love Pro-Am group. This is a Pro-Am representing Philly as the 5 seed. And then, of course, we go into the Zoo Crew. Your host is a 3 seed. The Du Bois Dream is a 6 seed. They put the Stones, the best Virginia last year. They almost pulled it off, despite the fact they didn't have a very strong team. And they're bringing back the same guys who got them there. So this is a very, very dangerous dream team. And then, of course, the best Virginia is a 2. And the $1 million worth of game, which is an intriguing logo. I'll say at least that much. So, Charge, first of all, where is Herkimer? Do you know?
It's in New York, as you said. The only fun fact I know about the Herkimer Originals is that their logo was inspired by Alice Cooper. So somehow, Alice Cooper either designed or they were inspired by Alice Cooper to create this logo. So that's all I got for you, in just a horrific matchup against Stars of Stores. So I hope they come ready, but Stars of Stores is insane this year. I mean, deep pockets, obviously, luxury. They're living large, probably more than any other TBT team that's coming to business this year. So they got great NIL behind them, supporting the team. They're still trying to chase down some more alums on top of what they already have. Guys like
Rudy Gay.
to beat. So I think they're going to be a fun team to watch, and I think people will be really gunning for those guys based on how much is invested there. But I think the intriguing thing is going to be on the right hand side, trying to get West Virginia and Zoo Crew obviously to battle is always a priority. I'm a little bit nervous about both teams. So West Virginia's retooling. You lose Kevin Jones. You're not quite the same team that you were. So hopefully those guys, maybe Kevin Jones is like, now this assistant coach thing isn't for me, but I'm sure he's got a contract issue or something because it seems like he's always enjoyed playing into TBT. But and then Du Bois Dream, which is one of our favorite teams. You mentioned they took West Virginia down to the wire, and I think they probably have one of the biggest free agent pickups in Taylor Persons. The guy has been phenomenal for Fort Wayne over the past couple, minimum 2 years, maybe even 3 years. He's just been a great player for them. So get some help, between the Weathers, gets a shooter and a Shriver and a little big. And then Zoo Crew still trying to fill out their roster a little bit. So we'll see what they end up looking like. But Artis is back, Lamar Patterson. They got some good pieces there.
DeJuan Blair.
Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, DeJuan Blair's a great player, but how old is DeJuan Blair now? That's an interesting thing.
Usually I get obsessed with age in these things, but I gave up on that after Heartfire keeps winning. So, but yeah.
It's funny. What's funny about Heartfire is I rooted for Heartfire. My father rooted for Heartfire. My grandfather rooted for Heartfire. No, I mean, they're aging like fine wine.
Ever. Yeah, no, but they keep showing up. But I'm very intrigued by Du Bois Dream. I don't know if anyone here can challenge Stars of Stores. I think they're
first time alumni. So leave this in though. Stars of Stores is stacked. They're really good. They have NIL. They appear organized. They're putting their travel schedule out. Like they're really on it. Like they are there. But first time alumni team. Not always the best thing of a first time alumni team. Do we think like they can break that sort of like curse?
Yeah, I think they could. It's a valid point. We've seen people get burned before, but this is just too organized, too meticulous. Like you said, it's going to be very regimented, very detailed. They're going to be ready to go. So I have no doubt. Like I said, I would be shocked if anyone in this region beat them, but I still think it's going to be one of the more exciting regions just with the matchups with West Virginia, Du Bois, Zoo Crew. And that Happy Valley and Brotherly Love Pro-Am looks really good too. So Sessoms was great for Happy Valley last year, and then no Big Five this year, but you got guys like Gadsden and Givens coming back, and I'm surprised we haven't seen Ramon Galloway's name kind of surface anywhere within this yet, but that's going to be another intriguing matchup. So a lot of good matchups here, and we'll see if how it comes together. But West Virginia does have some nice pieces coming into backfield. The guys like Kevin Jones, but building chemistry, building that rapport back up will be interesting.
I also heard there's one other guard who would be a game breaker who's considering going there. We won't say who. I haven't told you about this yet, even. But there's one guy I know who is considering going there who could light it up. Pick an upset, Charge. We were talking about
a lot of guards.
That's why
to be on the move.
Yeah. That's it. We're in silly season now too. After Wednesday, more guys will change teams probably too. Charge. We were talking this off screen. Are you going to call a shot here?
Yeah, on this one here, like I said, I don't think anyone challenges Stars of Stores, but Du Bois Dream will get their first victory in the TBT this year, no matter who they play, unless it's Stars of Stores. I just really think this team has kind of evolved and developed and really understands TBT and what it takes to win in it. And so I'm going to go out on a small limb because I think they're going to do it. So it doesn't matter as long as it's not Stars of Stores. So I can't go that far, but they will win their first game this year.
I can accept that. That's a pretty good answer. And they were, again, we can't explain how impressive they were against West Virginia in their loss. They played great. So they were really, really competitive. Okay. So let's get to the Butler region. Now, this is your hometown, George. This is where you live now. So let's get into this. So we have What's up? Yeah, we have Assembly Ball against the Crew. We're going to have Assembly Ball on pretty soon. The Crew we've already had on. Great interview, really well organized. It should be a fun matchup. In fact, this is kind of a dangerous 8 seed. And this, for my money, actually, is the deepest region. This is just a crazy deep region. Team Arkansas, always dangerous against Men of Mackey. So you'd have Arkansas is a 4, Men of Mackey is a 5. That would be a great matchup. Some interesting matchups there. Fort Wayne Champs is a 3. Everline is a 6. Your royalty of the non-alumni teams in that side of the bracket. And then ending up with All Good Dogs, the Butler host, against Fail Harder, which is a very unfortunate name if you ask me for any kind of a competitive team, whatever. I didn't come up with it. So Charge, first of all, like, this is a really tough one to pick the top seed because Assembly Ball is at the host, all Good Dogs is. But this is a legitimate case where either one could really be the top seed, isn't it?
I don't know. I think Assembly Ball is that much higher and not above what we're going to get from the Butler team. So I guess we can debate if it's still a lifestyle, but AJ has put together an amazing team in the past. He was the GM of the year last year. Gamble was on the All TBT team last year. You got Yogi. You got just a wealth of excellent players, and AJ gets his guys ready. He's always ready to play, always ready to win, and so I think it's a clear one with Assembly Ball, despite Butler being the host. And the interesting thing here, like I said, we had to move this around. I still don't know what Team Arkansas is doing in Butler. It just didn't seem like a natural fit for those guys, but they're going to be really tough out. Anytime you have Jalen Barford, they're returning almost their entire squad from last year, which went on a nice little mini run. So those guys are tough. And Metamaki's been good in the TBT every single year. They just haven't had a big run yet. So, this might be one of the ones when they put it all together. They tweeted right before the time that they have another major player announcement going on. And then
they got the bounty that one year against Tennessee. I had to give Isaac Haas a bottle of booze because they won the bounty. Yeah.
And then Everline shocking has lost their first round game 2 years in a row. So I don't know if how they're going to feel about taking on the chance. But obviously those guys know each other well. They both have been around the TBT. But I think you have to face these two teams off. And 4-win champs brings back Steph Hicks for another year. Solomon Young comes back, is solid. But I think what people are going to watch there is Molson from the Swiss League. He was player of the year, defensive player of the year. Just got a Swiss Army knife playing in Swiss, so only fitting. So that's kind of that's the best best I got. So a lot there, and then I think the Fail Harder Butler matchup because Kyle Guy is a local guy there in Indy, so I think them playing the local team at Butler, they'll have a lot of fun, and I think the guys following Fail Harder obviously will be root for them to take down the Butler Bulldogs, but they're a solid team as well. What you got, Mack and McDermott, Hodges has TB experience with the Buccaneers, so there's just a lot to like in this region overall. I mean, it is wide open on this thing.
It's a deep region. Now, Charge, we used to spend a lot more time discussing the bracketology, and in recent years, I've done more of the interviews, you've done more of the analysis. So I just put on this is you come up with it. So this is one time I had a question for you. Would you be willing to switch the 8-7s to put Fail Harder as the 8 and the Crew as a 7 to get a Valparaiso Butler Old School Horizon League matchup? Or do you not want to have a dangerous Crew as a 7 hurt the host as an actual true 7? Like, is there, why didn't the Horizon League thing come up, except for the fact you don't follow college basketball?
Yeah, I mean, with the Crew, I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're as dangerous as Fail Harder can be. I think Fail Harder's got a lot of just good overseas pros. I mean, the Crew does have Mantis. I mean, that the kid can shoot. So I don't know if you guys discussed him in your interview or not, but if they can figure out a way to get Mantis on the court, then I may rethink the 8 for the 7. But right now, I just think Fail Harder's a little more dangerous in that one.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it's definitely a tough thing. Okay, any sort of off-the-wall prediction you want to put here on anything here?
Gosh, that's a tough one, but I think whoever wins that 3-6 out of Fort Wayne and Eberline, they're gonna they're gonna make a run. They could be I wouldn't even call them a sleeper because both have had so much success in this thing, but I think that's gonna be a great matchup, and they may be the ones to watch for. But I think it's still Assembly Balls to lose, but I'd watch either one of those teams, whoever gets out of there.
So if this is the bracket, I have a separate prediction. This is the one where, and it's probably one I'll be proved wrong on, to be honest with you, because like this is I think probably the strongest bracket. I think it's either this or Houston, which we've done a lot of strong ones already. It starts to slip a little bit in the Midwest, I think. I think this is going to be chalk. I think this will end up 1-2 if this is the bracket. I really do. And I say that fully knowing that every team in this bracket is capable of beating a 1 and 2. So the thing is, I think this will actually end up in 1 and 2 because I think they are the strongest. I think the home crowd will carry them. But like I say that damn well knowing that like also while these are two really strong top 2 seeds, there's also a strong 3, a strong 4, a strong 5, a strong all the way through, which means almost every team in this bracket would be upper 4 seed in 3 other brackets. There are multiple other brackets. Any team in this region, with the possible exceptions of there's one bracket. Every team in this region will be a top 4. Literally every team in this region will be a top 4 in some brackets. So like this is a wildly strong bracket. So I think it actually will end up chalk. And I say that knowing damn well they can make me look foolish because every team is really good in this region. And on that note, last thing, have you been to Hinkle before?
Yeah, actually, I've only been there once. We went and saw the. You would appreciate this, and Chess would appreciate that. Was my first WNBA game watching the Aces and the Fever last year. So I know you guys are both big WNBA fans, and obviously this year I'm watching a ton of WNBA with the Indiana team and all the.
With that one person no one talks about. Yeah. The anonymous guard no one talks about.
Yeah. But so yeah, I've been there once, but I'm excited for this college atmosphere, the Butler Bulldog atmosphere. But Indy's going to represent Indiana. The Hoosiers are going to show up big time there too. So I think I don't know all the capacities, but I truly think this Indiana Butler evening matchup on I guess that's the 19th, I believe, should break records if they have the capacity to do so. I don't know if all the seats are open and what it holds exactly, but I feel great about that region. Yeah,
I mean, I think it'll be interesting. Charge also, my plan is to be in your hometown on the second day, so like the Sunday. I want to get the night games there. So you need to figure out where we're going to dinner. That's just the way to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I may go to Lexington, so.
Lexington. No. So if you're listening, this is actually planning in real time. Lexington on Sunday is the 12-2 games.
Gotcha.
I plan on going to those games and literally not trying to get in trouble speeding and get to the second half of the first Butler game and then the night game and then go from there.
Gotcha.
Either drive back to Louisville or to – we'll figure that out. No, Lexington's the same day as Butler, so the whole thing's a little bit of a weird thing. Okay, getting to Lexington, this will be interesting. I think the easiest call on the board, and I'm actually willing to write that 1 seed in stone. 1 seed is La Familia. I don't think there's any way they're not the 1 seed. I've heard some people disagree. Those people I think are, token. Jackson's Tennessee Boom is your 8. The D2 Waymakers, which would be an interesting second-round matchup because they have a history with Kentucky alums as a previous iteration as the 4 seed. Woco Showtime with Fletcher McGee as your 5 seed. On the other side, War Ready finally getting their win recently the last couple of years as the 3 seed, the Auburn alum against the North. As your 6 seed, we have them on, coached by Memphis legend Wesley Witherspoon. And of course, finishing up with last year's semifinalist, Heard That against the 305 Ballers as the 7 seed. So Charge, this seems a little top heavy, but if La Familia shows up, is there any way they don't make the final at least?
Oh, they'll make the finals in Lexington easily. I just don't even see that happening. I think Heard That makes the finals easily. Now, Heard That's the wild card. There's been so many rumors circulating around that roster, and so I think what we don't see here is the status of Ja'Cory Williams. Is he playing and not playing? And then you mentioned just a bunch of guards out there in the free agent market, and if these guys land one or more players, then they could compete. I've had the same debate with someone else too, and I still think La Familia's got to be the favorite at home and just so deep with it. But Heard That, I think that's just a collision course for the Lexington Regional. Even if Heard That doesn't beef up too much and Lando's coveted free agents, I still think they're a lock to get to the region final. the team that we love picking on Matt at the War Ready. I think this is going to probably be their best seed ever at the number 3 seed, and this is one of the ones that's just not extremely deep here. But they obviously have kind of intentionally switched to a nice loaded Auburn talent team, and so it's a matter of can they put it together. I don't usually talk about coaches, but Mark Hughes, which he's been in the TBT for a long time, working with overseas elite, Team 23 when they're still Team 23, worked with Sideline, I believe, last year.
Yep,
so this guy knows how to, navigate
win
the TBT and win. And so that's going to be the interesting thing here. And then, D2 is always dangerous. Always been a big fan of Steph Branch and Terrence Sullivan. I think those guys are solid. Woko's got Fletcher, so if he gets hot and goes, and then the rest of it just kind of plays out. Knopf's not a bad team at all. So I think that 3-6 is probably one of the more intriguing first round matchups. I know if you guys had on another slide because they returned their top 2 scorers. St. Hilaire is, just always.
He can go. He can go.
Davis 120. They both won 20 plus last year. So I think that's going to be the most intriguing matchup to me that I'm looking forward to in round 1. But I still don't think there's anything stopping La Familia and Heard that to play it off in the Lexington finals.
If it ends up being War Ready as a 3 and Knopf as a 6, not only will that be probably the best first round game, but also those guys both will want to play fast. Like, one of those games where it's gonna be back and forth. Like, if that's a matchup, if it's the Auburn guys and they play like Auburn, they press and they play tight, and it off gets up and down like Atlanta ballers like to do, you're gonna see. I mean, there won't need a shot clock in that game. Let's put it that way. There's gonna be a lot 8 seconds or less kind of stuff. A lot of breaks. It'll be a lot of fun. Might get a little sloppy. 305 ballers. It's the Miami Athletics guys from last year. So those guys will have, and they really put the work on Friday Beers for a full half last year. So like while they didn't win that game, they put the fear of God into one of the semifinalists last year. So they're going to be decent. So I don't think it's going to be a weak right half. I don't know what to expect of the Jackson, Tennessee Boom either. I'm a little confused because it used to be the Underdogs, and now it's the Boom, and it's not the same name. I'm a little confused what's going on with that one. And I think La Familia heard that.
It's a minor. Yeah. It's a new minor league team. So I don't see any way that they're affiliated with the old Jackson, Tennessee Underdogs.
Oh, okay.
Warmer fashion. Yeah. So it's a new. I can't remember. There's so many of them now. I don't know if it's TBL or ABA, but it's one of those minor league teams, and so we'll see how that goes. But Ballers got to figure out a way to step up against her at that. So I think 7-8 is going to struggle here, but you never know what could happen.
You never know. That's why you play the games, right? Okay, Louisville. Now, again, if you've seen our show, this is where the bounty comes into play. We have the 1 seed as the Ville and the 8 seed as United, the Bellarmine alums. And by the way, guys, if you beat Louisville in Louisville, you will get a bottle of whiskey from yours truly. I don't like Louisville, so that's how it's going to be, and I will be there. So if you get me one of those first 2 rounds, I am buying you liquor. That's how this works. So the 1 seed, the Ville, pretty big favorite against the number 8 United. That would be a pretty interesting matchup. Sideline Cancer is a 4. Their roster's still a bit of flux. Some changes happening there. Versus Team DRC as a 5. On the other side, you've got Team Fredette coming back, no longer the money team, back to being Team Fredette as a 3. Run DFW, a team that you liked a lot more when the Charge players were still there, he's shaking his head, as a 6 seed. And then, of course, the former you're still upset about that?
Yeah, we'll get into it.
And to close out the bracket, the number 2 Team Diesel, which used to be the Gutter Cat Gang, against the number 7 To Be Determined. Charge, what's that To Be Determined all about?
Yeah, we had kind of been hearing from some folks that there's going to be a tournament winner that was going to join the tournament field this year. So on the website right now, there's 62 official teams, so 63 and 64 outstanding. And we did hear that it is coming out of Venice Ball, which Puma is a sponsor of the Venice Ball league down there. It is on their website on July 7th that there's some kind of tournament being played, the basketball tournament, $1 million. So apparently the winner of that single day event will be moving on to TBT. I've reached out. They haven't responded. I can't find anything else out about what teams are in it. how to enter, how many teams are in. So it's, I guess, wait and see, but that's, a short 2 weeks away. So that's going to be your mystery number 7 seed here in Louisville. But this one here, I think, is really interesting. Fredette is reloading. So Jordan Crawford's moved on. I heard his name circulated with one other team in the first bracket, I think, that we reviewed. So that could be interesting where he lands. So they're going to have to rely real heavily on Booker and Darius Johnson Odom is surfaced with Fredette. But Run DFW, I was really enjoying their team and thought they had a great team until they got rid of Alex Robinson and Olin Carter. So I don't know, what happened there. Maybe contracts, maybe injury, but I was really bummed about that. But I think the story here is DeVille gets better this year with Harrell joining the team. He seems content on playing. Sometimes you don't know if they will, but he's been pretty vocal about playing. So joining Onuaku, Russ Smith, Siva. So they're going to have a solid team. And I know you interviewed United, and they were talking a little trash on this Louisville team. So they're getting more popular because of the recent Louisville teams, I think they said.
Yeah, basically, I asked them how they are going to practice, how they plan on beating Louisville, and I told them that plenty of teams have done it recently. So I just asked the 17 ACC teams that have beaten the crap out of them the last 3 years. Basically, any chance I get to give Louisville crap, I'm definitely going to take. But in all seriousness, though, they're a great fan base. They're a great team. Because remember, this is not recent Louisville players. This is back when they were actually really, really good. I mean, Peyton Siva and Russ Smith live in my nightmares of just abusing Memphis their time at Louisville. So I live in fear of both of them. They're really, really, really good. So that first matchup will be really funny because it's Louisville's old home floor and it's Bellarmine's current home floor, which is kind of funny. So the reality is they both have played on that floor as a home floor. So even though Bill's the host, it's Bellarmine's actual stadium now, which is really hilarious. What are you going to be on the sideline here? The roster seems to be a little incomplete still.
Yeah, obviously, they're obviously in flux this year. They're only 2 returners on the website right now is Coffee and Braxton are returning. Eric Thompson
and Eric
from a couple of years back. Yeah,
back
so
from recent
last
years.
year, but
yeah,
obviously the size and energy there. I think the big unknown here is Marcus Keene is not listed on the roster. And what's a little different this year is the next roster lock technically isn't until the 15th of July. So, some of these teams, they could slow play their announcements. Some people maybe on the free agent market looking to find the right team and the right deal, seeing the best offers that they can get.
The proper compensation
for their services. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But yeah, if they don't return Keene and get a little deeper, then that's going to be, I think, a tough run for them. I think obviously they slide by DRC, but I think it's going to be DeVille and the Shaq team. Shaq's kid's going to be playing in there, so I think this is going to be a fun region down there. They're returning a couple regulars, so yeah, it's interesting. This one here, I don't think it's super top heavy, but I think there's a lot of interesting matchups, and it could be some upsets in this bracket that we weren't quite expecting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could be interesting. I think there's not a terribly high number of alumni teams here. It's interesting too, because like a lot of the regions are pretty alumni heavy, and we're dealing with a less alumni heavy team. There's only 2, actually, only 2. Yeah, and we haven't played in the first round, so it's going to Louisville really needs to go deep in this event to protect the gate here, because as good as Fredette's Online Cancer, Team Diesel are, I don't know if they're going to put butts in seats. In fact, did that factor in your thinking, putting Bellarmine in to make sure that basically someone in that stadium gets through the first round? Is that your thinking there? I'm actually curious.
I just thought it was an intriguing matchup, being local interest. So I think that first game is going to stack it out probably. That's going to be the premier matchup there. I think the largest, highly attended. But I don't think you bank United, place them somewhere else against somebody and have them lose anyway. So I think you just got to force that matchup and have a lot of fun in Louisville that night.
It's going to be really hilarious. Okay, Charge, who wins this region?
I think I got to stick with DeVille. I'm going to stick with DeVille here. Like I said, as rosters round out, if Fredette does anything different, that could change it. Team Diesel, because they're returning Cherry and Eddie. They added BJ Johnson from Bayheims, but no QJ Peterson. Tyrese Rice played a couple years ago. So some of the guys that kind of played somewhat big roles leading the team aren't there anymore. So those may be future ads.
I really don't know how I feel about that logo either. The logo just is weird to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I mean, I like dogs and I like, I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm a logo guy and I think that's not as strong as it should be. If you design it and you're insulted, I'm sorry. I think it could be a stronger, especially with actually Shaq being a part of it. A more Shaq-centric logo would probably make more sense to me. I know he's the big diesel. I get that, but like it doesn't. That logo says everything but Shaq to me. I don't know. That's your resident design critique that no one cares about. Okay, we'll keep it moving. Okay, Dayton now gets a little more interesting as far as like now we're going to have some interesting seeding decisions to make. So in Dayton, you love them. They eat at the old folks' home, but they still play ball. The 1 seed defending champs, Heartfire. They will literally go ahead and get the senior special at dinner and then go out there after they digest their food and kick your ass. They're really, really good. They're really, really old, and there's no reason they can't defend their title because they're damn good still. I guess whatever Sweet Home Alabama is the 8 seed. We are D3 gets a 4 seed. That kind of tips the hand on where we think the relative strength of this region is. D3 is one of our favorite teams as a 4 seed. They're also 0-5 in this event. The guys is a 5 seed. Has not got a TBT win. Stick with that concept, not having a TBT win. Number 3, team to be determined. We'll let Charles talk about that in a minute. Purple Hearts. They're also 0 for TBT, correct? They don't have a win either, correct? Okay. Number 2 seed, Red Scare, your host. They lost in the first round last year, too. And Rise and Grind as your 7 seed with, again, no TBT wins. So there are 5 teams in this region who have been in TBT before and have not won a game. So that's also the relative strengths of the region. This region is gettable because someone's getting their first win if this is the bracket. It's a very interesting thing about relative strength. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, the mystery team, I mean, based on geography, based on the seed, you could take a really good educated guess who that team's going to be. If you're the hundreds of followers that watch some of our prior episodes, we kind of talked about a few of the big alumni teams not accounted for yet. So this one should be.
I mean, there's almost a crew of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Almost a crew.
But that's kind of the open one. Will be a solid team, but I think Red Scare is going to come out and take this region, despite getting bounced by the Brown Ballers last year. I don't think there's any reason. They got Daryl Davis back. They got Trey Landers back, who both did not play last year. Scoochie and the other big pieces returned. They added Wes Clark from the blue collar team. So I don't see this team losing this year. I just think they're ready. Good wake up call last year, getting bounced and it should be good. But I think the matchup of the first round is going to be that we are D3 and the guys. I think that's going to be one. Someone's going to get their first win. D3 is obviously much better than their record shows. They've won a lot of halves of basketball, just not whole games yet. And so this could be the year they do that. The guys is not horrible, with Barnett, Stockard, Owens. They have guys who can play. And so same thing. They just haven't put it all together yet. So I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I hope it happens just to see who kind of gets that first win. But I think the seeds feel right with Heartfire being the defending champions, and people are going to want to see the 2-3 matchup in round 2. So that's I think how this one's going to play out. Looking through Purple Hearts, they did add Darius Adams, who's still got a lot of game left, playing in China most recently. So you never know what can happen. You get a guard that gets hot, that can knock you out in a hurry. But I think this one here, I think Heartfire runs, Red Scare runs, and Red Scare takes the region.
So you think Heartfire's defense ends in Dayton?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I tend to agree. And if you're listening, Marcus Hall, the last time I told you you're going to lose, you won $1 million. So there you go.
Yeah, but they are better this year, though. They got Eric Washington back, who was a big piece of that Team 23 run back in the day. And then Jordan Bell is apparently playing with them this year too. So they have gotten better, maybe
That's an
not
ad.
younger, but better.
That's an ad.
So
age is nothing but a number. Age is nothing but a number.
I hear that.
Okay, let's get Cincinnati. I think this may be our last one. So we've got the 1 seed Nasty Night, a surprising run last year against the Red Rose Thunder, who has an interesting coaching story. Your 4 seed here would be the Brown Ballers off a massive upset last year. We're going to reward them of a 4 seed off a crazy upset of knocking out the 1 seed in Dayton last year against Dream 34, formerly the Virginia Dream. Pretty interesting little squad with a history in our old friend Chris Thomas's East Coast Basketball League. The 3 seed Takeover BC, which has a few guys from those Peacock Nation teams, against Team About Billions. This is the team supported by the Boxer Brun. A really, really interesting story there. And your 2 seed Zip 'em Up against the 7 seed Team Gibson. Charge, is there anything preventing this from being a crosstown shootout in the final?
It doesn't feel deep at all, but I think anything could happen here. I do have concerns with Zip 'em Up. I think we need to see all their pieces come into play. So they have a good team now, but we haven't seen anything about Gates. We haven't seen anything about Cantor. We haven't seen anything about JP. And so some of the guys that they leaned on in the past are not there yet. So, I think they could be challenged by that 3-6 game. Obviously, I think they get past Team Gibson, who, strong overseas team, which is dangerous if they all come in and play together. Take over BC. You mentioned Desi Washington from Peacock Nation, Alex or AJ English from the autism team last year. So they're talented, and About Billions is the same thing. They got a lot of overseas experience. They brought in Josh Selby for some veteran experience. So
Rainier Thornton, Memphis player.
I think that right hand side could get a little bumpy ride for Zip 'em Up if they don't come ready and kind of boost their team up a little bit. But the Brown Ballers and Dream 34 should be a fun matchup. Brown Ballers beat Dayton last year. Their big scorer Lowell is back. So, and Dream 34 got that last minute call up and knocked out UMass, and apparently knocked them out for good. So UMass was a one and done alumni team. A lot of hype around them, and Dream 34 came in and spanked them. But they got Cologne, who played well last year. PJ Hairston, can still ball and get them some veteran leadership out there. So I think that's going to be a fun matchup at the 4-5. But if everyone on Natty shows up, then I still think it's by a landslide their region to win, because they're already just gigantic with Cumberland, Scott, and Evans. They added Jalen Adams, which is just a huge piece for them. Plus they got guys like Calpain and Ellis. And even more on their bench. I mean, this is probably the deepest team you're going to find in TBT. So there's always that, will they all show up? I know their roster was a little up and down with a couple players last year. So if these guys all show up, it's definitely their region to win in their home court this year.
Whoops. I'll disagree. So it should be chalk. I think it would be Natty. I think it should be Natty, but I feel there's going to be some anarchy here. I think this is on paper one of the weaker regions, but I think unlike the ones where I think where it's not stronger, I think someone's going to rise up and bite Natty in the ass. I have a feeling we're going to get a surprise here. Just a vibe. I don't think it's like, not on paper, but I think maybe the Brown Ballers build on last year and make a run. I think there's enough on Takeover to make a run. I mean, and Zip 'em Up, like I said, they're going to be good, but their roster's not complete yet. And Natty was a 16th last year, if memory serves, and got hot. So the reality is, I'm not sure. I mean, you got to prove it again. So should Natty and Zip 'em Up match up? Yes. Is that what's going to happen? Logic dictates that's what's going to happen. But I'm going to call my shot here. We're going to see a 4-under seed come out of here. I'm going to call a shot here. I'm just going to, and best on nothing besides an absolute vibe check. I think Natty and Zip 'em Up are the two teams to be here, but I have a feeling there's going to be something really weird happen in Cincinnati this year, which means bet the house against me. That's what that algorithm means. It means put all of your money on Nasty Natty is what that means.
Yeah, no,
Right,
like I said, it's going to be volatile. It's going to be volatile. I just think as long as Nasty Natty's team shows up, plays how many ever games in the region, they'll win it. Okay.
All right, Charge, any closing thoughts? We usually like to go about an hour. We're right at 50 minutes. Is there anything about this? Like, first of all, these are just a Bracketology. How close do you think we got this year?
We'll never be right on the money. At least we finally won't miss a team that's in this year, so that's good. Usually we miss a handful.
We say that they'll find a way to do that, though. Oh, by the way, we just got rid of the 6 teams. Like, we just blew them up. Like, yeah, there's also a reason at Chargers house. Yeah.
I think it's got to be fairly close. I mean, we'll never be on the money, but I really think we're in the ballpark, not only at kind of the top seeds, but I think how the matchups will play out. There's a lot of intriguing alumni matchups. There's a lot of non-alumni matchups that have to happen for the sake of the brackets. I think we're going to be in the ballpark, and I guess we'll find out on the 26th when Fanta and Zoldan released a selection show, and so make sure you tune in for that. And
10 a.m.
It's prime time. Feel free to call us out if you hate what I said about your team. Call Hainer out, but it's just another year of TBT, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're doing more interviews. We've got a few scheduled next week. We're already did Bleed Green, Fanta, and D3. They'll be released next week. We've got like 4 or 5 more for next week. In Charge, I believe we're trying, and this is still not put in stone yet, but if you want to watch the bracket reaction show, we're aiming for next Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll officially release the time later this week, but Thursday at 7, we're going to give you our bracket reactions the day after the release. That's our current goal. Charge, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm all good. It's like I said, it's been fun, and look forward to like I said, I guess the next phase. We got the selection show on the 26th, and rosters get locked on the 15th of July, and it's gonna be awesome having all 6 or 8 regions. Going within a couple of days, so it's gonna be fast and furious and a lot of fun.
Packed. It's gonna be packed. My flight is Friday morning. I'm going straight from the airport to the game. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, this has been Zoom the TBT of Charge and Hainer. Thanks for coming along. We'll see you next time.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.